Well, folks, I'm so excited to share with you this month this very beautiful and unusual version of Western country from Allegheny banjoist Paul Joines. Makes me especially proud that he was local here to Allegheny County, and I think that you will find this version just eye-opening, really. I loved going through this and working it out. Now, let's start off with tuning, because we are going to do something that I've never seen any other banjoist done here. We're going to use Jimmy Sutton tuning on Western country. It took me a little while to figure out what in the world was going on because it was hitting some strange notes. But that tuning is like detuning, except for the second string. So, the first string is an E. The second string is a C sharp, like A tuning. The third string is an A. So those three are like you're tuned in A. But then your fourth string is dropped down to a D. And then your fifth string is an A. So your bass chord is going to be first fret of the second string and second fret of the first string. So that is 1, 1, and then 2. Now I use my ring finger on that second fret because there's going to be a lot of action with your middle finger up here. All right, so that's going to be first finger and then ring finger. And that makes your D chord. It's going to be your bass right there. Okay, now, another note, when you go to play with the source recording, which you should always do, he is tuned down to C. so it's like Jimmy Sutton tuning in C. And so you're going to have to tune your banjo G, C, G, B, D. That's what you're going to need to play along with the source recording, which, as always, I encourage you to do to get that feel there from our old timer. All right, so let's go ahead and get started now that we got some basics out of the way here. Okay, now he does this really weird thing at the start. He's going to go first string, second fret, and then instead of going to our bass chord, which I would totally expect him to do, he doesn't. He leaves off that finger. So your drop thumb is an open. Very dissonant. All right, and then he comes to the bass chord. All right, so that first measure is already very unusual. But the second measure only gets crazier. The second measure is really, I don't know what to make of it, but here's what's going on. Open first string, thumb on the first fret of the second, strum thumb with your middle finger on the second fret of the third, and then come along with your pinky to the fourth fret of the fourth string, and then just give an open strum, let everything else up. So it's crazy and doesn't really sound that great played slow, but when it's up to speed, it really works. All right, so that second measure again. All right, then open third. Everything gets a little bit more normal after this. Then we're gonna, now watch this. I'm holding down my first fret and look at my bass chord. I'm gonna keep that held down. And with my middle finger, I'm going to do a hammer on the second fret of the third string without lifting my other fingers. So that fourth measure sounds like this. So those fingers just stay planted. All right, and then we get a hammer on, and then a pull off. All right, so I'm leaving those fingers planted unless there's a hammer on or a pull off to remove them. All right, so the first four measures sounds like this. All right. That's a lot of the tough stuff right there. Okay. Moving on to the second half of the first part. Starts off the same. All the same here. All the same there. Really just the ending changes, and it's very simple. We're just going to do our bass chord twice. All right, so he gives us a little bit of relief in the second half of the first part. Okay, so there's the first part of the tune. Go back and review that carefully. Some very unusual things happening. And they probably, it's the kind of thing that when you slow it down, it sounds crazy. But when you speed it up, when you play it up to speed, it sounds good. And then when you add in fiddle and guitar, it sounds even better. So keep that in mind. Don't give up on it. All right, second part is absolutely beautiful. Some really cool things happening here. We're going to start off on the 5th fret, but notice I'm going to bar these, the 1st and the 2nd strings at the 5th fret. I kind of go back and forth how I want to do that. But for now, I'm just going to put my 1st finger over the 2. But you could do 2 fingers too. But the 5th fret on the 1st and 2nd string. So we're just going to go note, strum thumb, and then a drop thumb. Now, here comes another cool chord. We're going to go 7th fret on the 1st string, 6th fret on the 2nd string. All right, and he goes note, strum thumb, drop thumb, strum thumb. Okay, so those first 2 measures sound like this. Now, next measure, we are on measure 11 on the 4th line here. And we get another drop thumb. Now, this is so nice here. He does it most of the time. I think there's one time that he doesn't do it. But instead of doing like a note strum thumb, he's just going to let the melody ring out. Now, I'm not certain if he's going 5-5, so 1st string, or hitting the same notes going 5-2. I think he's staying up here is why I tabbed it out. And then to the open drop thumb. I think that is so nice. So I'm going to play measures 11 and 12 here again for you so you can hear it. It's just beautiful. Okay, so that gets us through the first half of the second part. Now, I love the start of the second half because he has a variation. He doesn't just come straight back up to the 5th fret like players normally would. He's going to give us this great pull-off. All right, so pull off from our bass position and then straight up to that double 5th fret. I think that is so nice. And then back up to our 7th fret. Same thing there, and then we finish out very easily. 5 with the drop thumb, and then open, everything open, drop thumb, and then back to our bass position. Now, if it's the first time through the second part, he goes to an open A chord again. There at the end. If it's the second time and you're ending the tune, then he stays on the bass chord twice. And that's why you see 2 endings there at the end, measures 16 and 17. So the first ending is for when you're repeating the second part. The second ending is for when you're done with the second part and you're getting ready to go back to the first part. All right, well, that is a lesson through this very interesting and beautiful. I've never seen Western Country in Jimmy Sutton tuning before, so it is so cool. I think Paul does some wonderful things here. And if you make this your version of Western Country, you'll have something really unique to offer your jam or your band. Happy picking.